Hello everybody, and welcome to Appalachian Cemetery Hunting with Robin. Today, we're going to be looking at the old Wallace and Scruggs cemeteries, and they are located in Anderson County, Tennessee. We'll be looking at the old Wallace Cemetery first. It's located in the small town of Andersonville, and is also known as the Old Andersonville Cemetery. Now there are only 22 people buried here, so let's get started. First, we have Comfort Clear, 1813 to 1839. Next, we have Peter Clear, 1781 to 1854. And according to some information I found on findagrave.com, he was a cabinet maker. Next, we have Robert Dew, 1776 to 1858, and his wife Nancy Wallace Dew, 1784 to 1863. Now I believe this photo of their headstone is a little older than the previous picture. And notice the barbed wire around it. And I wonder what that was for. Next we have Robert D. Eaton, 1772 to 1854. Next is Leah Murray Longmire, 1819 to 1897. Next is Marcellus Longmire, 1821 to 1892. Now we have William L. Myers, 1856 to 1889. Now we have Lloyd Rutherford, and we don't know when he was born, but he died in 1851. Next we have Amanda Wallace, 1828 to 1852. Next is Amelia Atkins Wallace, and she went by Millie, and she was born in 1799 and died in 1840. And notice how worn the inscription on her stone is. Next we have Armstead A. Wallace, 1826 to 1852. Next we have David Wallace, 1790 to 1841. Now there are nine people buried here that do not have any pictures of their graves, and they are Cynthia Clear Brogan, 1823 to 1859, Julianne Clear, 1819 to 1837, Margaret Damewood Clear, and she went by Peggy, 1791 to 1853. Next is Jane Wallace Longmire, and she went by Janie, 1821 to 1851. Next is Susanna Duke Robbins, and she went by Susan, 1822 to 1860. Next is Amelia V. Landrum Wallace, 1798 to 1840. Now we have Elizabeth Atkins Wallace, 1794 to 1839. Next is James M. Wallace, 1800 to 1876. And the last person in this cemetery is Jane Rosanna Miller Wallace, 1764 to 1820. And that takes care of the old Wallace Cemetery. Let's look at the Scruggs Cemetery. This small cemetery is located between Interstate 75 and Andersonville, Tennessee. There are only 19 people buried here, so let's take a look at them. First, we have John W. Keith, 1870 to 1942. Next is Ernest Alonzo Scruggs, 1891 to 1924. Notice the star on his headstone. A single star like this is almost always a symbol of the Star of the East that guided the Magi to Bethlehem when Jesus was born. Next, we have William Scruggs, 1828 to 1897, and his wife, Harriet Lamy Scruggs, 1838 to 1910. Next is John Wesley Scruggs, 1866 to 1949, and his wife Sarah Ellen Dishman Scruggs, 1872 to 1924. Now we have another John Wesley Scruggs, and he was born in 1797 and died in 1861. And now we have another John Wesley Scruggs. He went by J.W., 1831 to 1893, and he was a sergeant in Company B of the 3rd Tennessee Infantry in the Union Army during the Civil War. From the information I found, he was a POW at Andersonville Prison in Georgia for 17 months. From what I've read, that was one of the worst prison camps during the war. Next, we have Lily May Scruggs, 1894 to 1914. Now we have Martha Jane Scruggs, 1879 to 1958. Next is Myrma Scruggs, 1900 to 1916. Next is Roy R. Scruggs, 1906 to 1915. Next, we have Susanna Edwards Scruggs, 1803 to 1887. Now, the best I could tell, her grave marker has only her initials on it. Next, we have Thomas Jefferson Scruggs, 1863 to 1937. And now we have another Thomas Jefferson Scruggs, and he was born in 1839 and died in 1906, and there is no picture of his grave. He served as a private in Company C of the 2nd Tennessee Mounted Infantry in the Union Army during the Civil War. Now, there are 4 people buried here with no photos of their graves, and they are Haughty G. Black, and I hope I pronounced that first name right, 1907 to 1941. Delvinia Scruggs Linehart, 1830 to 1909. Next, we have Elizabeth Ellen Scruggs, and she went by Ellen, 1833 to 1900. And last and certainly not least, we have Samuel E. Scruggs, 1833 to 1909. Well, folks, that will do it for the Old Wallace and Scruggs cemeteries. We hope you have liked this little video, and we also hope it may help someone with their family history. Please hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons. And until next time, God bless.